Hi-ho, this is Kermit the Frog, and you're listening to a brand new episode of the 12A podcast brought to you by the Four-Eyed Radio Network. Yay! If you would like to check out more shows, go to foureyeradio.com. Yay!
This Four-Eyed Radio production is brought to you by America Joy Print Shop. All your printing needs taken care of in one convenient place. Visit americajoy.com for business cards, flyers, banners, decals, car wraps, and more. Visit americajoy.com.
The Oscars have been announced, at least the nominations. I'm Jeff.
Hey, I think I found something wrong with Jennifer Lawrence. This is Steve.
Uh-oh.
Welcome to the 12A podcast, where you're going to learn about movies, entertainment, and a lot of other cool stuff. And now, here are two guys who turned doing taxes into a drinking game, Jeff and Steve.
Yeah! Talking the Oscars and taxes, talking about what we do as drinking games.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything could be a drinking game in our life.
Yeah, that's true. All right. You got some good stuff to talk about. Got the Oscars.
Yeah, I like that we clap at the beginning of it, so it sounds a lot like we're recorded before a live studio audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you watched the TV show Dads at all? Now that I have no cable at all, I'm catching up on the most random things.
Oh, that's
through,
the Seth
Hulu and
MacFarlane
Netflix.
show with the terrible trailers that looks like it's a really boring show.
Right. It's filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Okay.
And you don't hear about that much at all, but you can really tell that it's not like a, recorded track type of thing, laugh
really?
track or anything. Yeah.
Why is that?
Just the some of the laughter you can tell is going a little bit longer than maybe it was supposed to go,
right.
type of thing, because they got to hold out a little bit, and so it's interesting. So I actually have been enjoying the show, probably a little bit because of that. It was really bad in the first few episodes, but yeah, I'm up to the 10th episode of the season now or something. So
on Hulu?
On Hulu, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
anyways.
I wanted to ask you about that, though. I mean, we'll talk about Oscars, we'll talk about Netflix, and do our speed rounds and history and dollar and all that. But this is interesting. So you cut the cord officially, right?
I've cut the cord on cable TV, yeah.
Right. And how has it been going? Have you been missing stuff?
No, I actually feel like I'm consuming more now.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm finding, interesting things before, when you would have cable TV, it was always that background noise, and you just flip a channel so you saw something. And dear God, I watched a lot of Duck Dynasty because it was always on repeat on TLC or whatever.
It's always on, right?
Always is on. Which, no big deal, good show. But when you've seen the episode 5 times in a row because they repeat the same ones, okay, it's
right.
So now, so I have Dads, and then I finally started up with the first episode of Sherlock, the BBC one or whatever, or PBS one. I mean,
right. Yep.
So so I got into that, and so there's all these other things. But then I made use of my brother has HBO, and I made use of that, borrowed his account real quick to check out this True Detectives with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey, which is great. So I just been I have been streaming like no other.
Really?
I might go to bed and finish watching an episode of Dads or something on my phone before I tonight sleep. Yeah,
right.
It's pretty interesting. So
wow, okay. Now, is there anything that you miss?
There is nothing that I miss yet.
Okay.
But once The Walking Dead is back, I'm going to miss, because there was a few times where I would watch it live, watch it, that night type of thing. So I think that I'll miss that, but that's going to be it, I think.
But you know what's cool about that, though, is even though you've cut the cord and it's just that one show, I mean, we should really bring back. I mean, remember, we've talked about this before, when people would get together and watch the new, we used to do with the 4400.
Yeah.
We had, it was a big viewing thing. You get together and it's hey, everybody, come over at this place at this time, and we're all going to watch the new episode. And I still, people do that with Game of Thrones and some stuff like that.
Yeah. You'll have, or a season finale, you'll have a party or something like that. Yeah. No, I wouldn't mind doing something like that more, especially with the Netflix original series stuff and everything like that. If we planned out to watch the season finale, we watch all the rest of the episodes separately. That's fine, but the season finale one, we all save that to watch it together, right? Because just to see what we'd think and to have that interaction. So,
yeah.
I think now it would be let's all get together and watch the 13 episodes that they just released.
Boom. Yes.
Yeah. 6 hours together.
And we were talking about that because when Arrested Development came out, out, we were like, oh, we should have a party. And then it turned into, so is this going to be an all-day party? Or
how does this
going to work?
Yeah.
And we couldn't figure it out. We never had the party. So now what about sports? I remember that was one thing that you were...
Well, that's actually the whole reason we waited to cancel till now was to, sports was over with.
No.
Now, if nothing changes over the summer with sports and us being able to stream differently or anything, Tiffany might want to get cable back just to watch the sports.
Oh, really?
Just to get the college football and the pro football back mainly. So
okay.
It'll either be that or we're going to be like at native New Yorker or at her parents' house a lot during the football season.
Which is still probably going to be cheaper to go out for every away game for U of A and then whatever Ravens games I guess she wants to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Well, just for the record, I could not do that.
You couldn't cut the
I could
cable?
not cut the cord because I watch so many sports.
Oh, yeah.
Because I get the football package and I get the hockey package and I watch, tennis all the time, and that would be hard for me.
Really?
I have to admit that'd be really hard.
well, and it is just the sports, and that was our longest thing was the sports.
Yeah, and I know they like Xbox and stuff like that are streaming real time sports and some things. So I think it's getting to that point.
Yeah, because you can get like the NFL app and the MLB app and watch any game.
Right.
Yeah. Well, like Esteban, who's a friend of ours that's done some of our short films, he and his wife cut their cable a while ago too. And I got together with him a few weeks back, and I guess Rachel was sick at home one time, and he kept getting these pop-up things because she was like buying episodes of some TV show through Apple TV,
Okay.
and through their iTunes account. But it was, she ended up buying like a whole series or a whole season, which was like, $20 or something like that.
Right.
But it still was way cheaper than what you would have paid monthly. So even if you figure into that with like what you might do in the way of having to buy certain episodes or seasons of shows, it's still going to be cheaper in the long run.
Yeah, in fact, you and I did that for a while when we lived together. We canceled our cable bill, and then we would just buy DVDs every month as part of because then we got to keep them. And I remember we were splitting some bill, and I can't remember what bill it was, but you and I were splitting the bill, and instead of like giving me money every month, you would like buy me a DVD every month. And like you would just pick something. Like I didn't put in a request. Like Steve would just be like,
here's your DVD this month.
Yeah, about Reign of Fire.
So,
Jeff, you want to watch Reign of Fire?
Will you pay the electricity bill?
yeah. But then I remember the only uncomfortable thing though is once I moved out, I think you coined the phrase. It was like splitting up our children when we had to figure out how this DVD collection was gonna.
Yeah.
But there were no fights.
No, there wasn't any fights.
Ended up panning out
I
pretty
think
good.
everything ended up okay in the end. So
Yeah.
with the divorce. So.
Yeah. All right. So Oscars. I know you and I are excited for the Oscars. Sam, do you get excited about the Oscars?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah,
Cool. Absolutely.
Okay.
I have done more homework just because I was.
You don't want to get as drunk.
I don't want to get near as drunk as I did last time.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, so I've done my homework. I started reading through a lot of them. I actually even if I think smartly about this, it really could be a toss-up with some of these movies that are
Even
in
if
here.
I think smartly.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't say I was going to speak it.
Okay.
I was going to say, are you drunk right now, Steve?
It's delicious coffee I'm drinking.
Okay, so sorry. Speaking smartly of your Oscars, yes.
So, best motion picture of the year. This is the only one we should talk about tonight.
Okay.
American Hustle, Captain Phillips, Dallas Buyers Club, Gravity, Her, Nebraska, Philomena, 12 Years a Slave, and The Wolf of Wall Street. What's your initial gut say?
Who I think is going to win?
Yes, smartly.
Right now, I think it's pretty much a dead even heat between 12 Years a Slave and Gravity. If I had to give a +1 to someone, it would be to 12 Years a Slave, but I think they're about dead even right now.
Okay. I actually was thinking the Gravity over 12 Years a Slave. So I think we're in the same boat. Even though Captain Phillips looks like it was probably a beautiful story. I loved American Hustle. Wolf of Wall Street I loved, but they're just not. Yeah, best is going to be 12 Years or Gravity.
Yeah,
Gravity was just
think if there's
too
a
different.
dark
movies.
horse, it's going to be American Hustle.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't see any of the others having the same. Now I will say, I think Okay, never mind. We're just talking about Best Picture.
We're just talking about Best Picture of the Year.
All right.
Right now. That's it.
Okay.
Because otherwise, you and I could probably talk for 3 hours about everything in here.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to pick one other category, I'll let you pick it. But I still want to talk about Best Picture of the Year. Have you seen or heard of anything with Dallas Buyers Club?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of really
Okay.
good things about it. Acting is terrific.
That's what I've heard, and I'd really love to see Jared
good
Leto's
story.
character
Yeah.
in that and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've heard really good things about all of these films. To be honest with you, and it's a decent batch. I'll probably watch a decent amount of these.
Well, and the only reason, like, if it wasn't for the fact that Gravity was such a different movie in its sound design and its look and feel, and it was only 90 minutes long. I mean, there's so many things different about it than every other movie. And then
Right.
12 Years a Slave is obviously just a historically significant political type of movie. If it wasn't for that, the rest, all these movies, I mean, it could really be a toss-up for me because they all have really, really good things to them. I don't think there's
Right.
any one single one that jumps out that is going to sweep the Oscars type of thing. Honestly, if anything does sweep it, I think it might be Gravity just because of like sound design. I think Sandra Bullock's got a fighting chance for it too. So
Yeah, I think Gravity's going to win a lot of technical awards, and I guess we'll get into those later. But the one thing I do want to mention, since we're not going to cover the this particular category, I'm sure, it's always funny to see in like the normally in the music category or something like that, you'll find some movie that has an Oscar nomination that you would never think of as an Oscar-nominated film, right?
Okay.
Like Transformers. Transformers was nominated like every year. They made a Transformer film, but it was for like technical achievement, and so
yeah,
it's just funny to think Oscar-nominated Michael Bay Transformers, right?
yeah. Like what?
So the one this year that I think really stood out to me, I thought was really funny, was Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa, Oscar-nominated film for Best Makeup.
No.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Which again is very understanding because that makeup had to be convincing because he really went out and had to convince people who were standing right next to him that he was like this old guy. So
right.
So it had to be a really good makeup.
There was an award thing in here that I actually had to look up, and Sammy maybe knows a little bit more, and I guess now we're just moving on to more awards. But this is just a category thing I was confused by, because like I said, I'm studying to be smarter.
Right, okay.
Achievement in sound editing and achievement in sound mixing.
Yes.
Sammy, the difference? Off the top of your head?
Like, technically, it's definitely a different... I don't know how they categorize it, like originally or whatever for the actual thing, but like the way I would categorize it is sound editing is kind of how you put the thing together with sound effects. That's kind of like more like sound design.
Yeah.
And then the mixing part of it is, what stands out to you in a given scene. Is the music, because of the emotion of this particular scene, does the music come out first? Is it more prominent? Is the vocals more prominent? Are the sound effects more prominent? Because they're trying to evoke a particular emotion in a given scene. So what element of the sound is doing that, and how well do they do that as a whole?
Right.
That's kind of the mixing part of it. Plus, you have things that are done like in surround now, with Dolby Atmos and stuff, where you can put things anywhere in the listening space that you want.
Right.
So now it's not just what's prominent, but it's where is it, and how does that add to your immersion into the film,
right,
kind of thing, right? That's kind of how I would define it. I don't know if that's how the Academy or whatever defines it. But
that is, I mean, I had read it
Yeah.
up, and that is, sound editing is the creation or recording of a sound, and the mixing is the layering of that sound with the, between the thunder and the dialogue and the musical score and all that. So, I saw it and obviously Gravity is in there twice, but it's different names under each one, and that's when I realized, oh, okay, there you go, the recording versus the editing of it. So is there one category on here you want to shout out about, Jeff, or that you're kind of interested in? Or?
I don't know.
No?
I still got a lot of research to do. I think There's still a lot that needs to be hammered out. There was the SAG Awards and the Producers Guild Awards. So I will talk about this. This is interesting.
Okay.
So, when you look at these guild-specific awards, just the guild gets to nominate, or just within their guild, but the entire academy gets to vote for the Academy Awards.
Right.
For everything but the short subject stuff. But the Producers Guild, which you would associate with Best Picture, they just had their awards, and for the first time they had a tie for Best Film in the Producers Guild Award, and that was 12 Years a Slave and Gravity.
Wow, and it was a tie.
So it was a tie. For the first time they had a tie. Yeah. So that's one of the things that kind of plays into how close those two films are.
Mm-hmm.
So do they do like rock, paper, scissors to decide the winner?
Right. No, they just list them both as winners.
As a winner?
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. So that just shows you how close I think these two films are going. It's funny. Sometimes, in various categories, there's a lock, and sometimes there's just a strong suggestion. This year, and so it'll be interesting because it sounds like it's a dead heat. So it'll be really excited.
All right. Well, I'm excited about our party. I've already had some thoughts about how we can destroy your house this year. So,
oh, good.
Yeah,
That's good. Hopefully we can get the company to pay for a maid service that they come in the next day.
We have to figure out the budget.
We need a booze budget, and we need a cleanup budget.
Yeah. There is two things I want to mention before we start getting into all of our China is making a replica of the Titanic.
Like a full-scale?
Full-scale replica.
No way, really?
Yes, and it is going to be an amusement park all the way down to the effect of you drowning in it, hitting an iceberg, and everything else.
Oh, my gosh. So it's going to be on land?
Yeah.
So is it an original replica where it's together, or is it after it's been broken up kind of replica?
It's kind of replica, from what I've read, that it's together. But with the use of sound and lighting and everything else, they're going to have an entire set where you're going to feel like it hit and you're drowning and the ship's going down type of thing.
I don't know how I feel about that, really.
Yeah.
It's kind of tacky.
I mean, I looked it up. It was 102 years ago, so I don't know how long you're supposed to wait before you start joking about stuff or having fun with it or making money off of it. But
still, I don't know. It's weird. It's like, I don't think that's one of those things where time distances you far enough where you can do something like that. It's like 1,500 people or whatever died.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah. No,
Maybe
it's weird. But I think it would be kind of neat to experience something like that, though. At the same time,
See, I don't.
Yeah.
See, if you're gonna pick a movie for me to live out my fantasy of living, it's not Titanic. It's Jurassic Park, maybe.
Oh, Jurassic Park. Yeah, well, that'd be a good one too.
But not Titanic. I mean, if you're thinking about a movie to live out your fantasy of.
It wouldn't
is
be
not
a first
Star
choice.
Wars or Star Trek. Why the hell would they choose Titanic? It sounds like such a. Well, we know that everybody has this fantasy about drowning in the middle of an icy ocean, so let's help them realize
Fulfill
this fantasy. Yeah. I wonder if, along the ride, you're going to meet somebody and fall in love, and they're going to be ripped away from you.
I was going to say it's a freaking Leonardo DiCaprio and what's her face.
Kate Winslet, yeah.
Kate Winslet that did it.
Yeah.
The Chinese saw that and go, ooh, we should do something with that because it's a love story.
So I don't know where that's going to go, but apparently they've started building on that thing, and it's going to be a full-size replica, which just being a full-size replica, I mean, would be interesting enough to know. But you're right. That would not be my movie of choice to have a theme park after.
Right.
But, yeah, they're building it in China, so there's going to be a Titanic theme park.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next big adventure they're going to do is Love in the Time of Cholera, so everybody can see what that feels like.
Maybe Titanic was the easiest thing to get rights to.
Yeah, there you go.
Star Wars are like, no, it's going to cost too much.
I don't know.
There you go. They had a list, and this is what they landed on.
Right.
So.
Okay. Sorry. Your next. Yes.
JGL's TV show. Hit record on TV.
Wait.
I don't have cable TV. You know his whole hit record thing, the collaborative effort stuff that he does and everything. He now has a TV show.
Oh,
and
okay.
it's very awesome. It's on Pivot, whatever that cable channel is. I don't know. I don't have it any
Never
longer.
heard of
But if you go to Pivot's website, it's just pivot.tv, or just search for Hit Record on TV, his show. They have the first episode online. I watched it, and it's a variety type show, is what it is. And he's so entertaining, and it's in a full stage audience, but it's made by everybody through the Hit Record, family. So, it's a collaborative effort by everybody. So he's showing these short films that the audience has made and stuff like that. I think you'd really like it, so I suggest checking it out.
So is he like the host of the show?
Yeah, he's the host of the show.
Okay.
And there's different guest spots and everything, because I read some of the, like Tony Danza comes on one of the episodes and stuff like that. And it sounds like later on they do some sketch stuff too. I've only seen the first episode. That's the only one they have online right now. But yeah, Hit Record on TV, and it made me think about how, like, we've always talked about the guy that could be the, like the Justin Timberlake, the entertaining, the singing, and all this other stuff.
Right.
And like it feels like he's pulling that off pretty well. So yeah.
Interesting.
But those are my two before we get into.
Yes, just to backtrack real quick. And actually, this is a good bridge for us, I think. We talked about the Oscars. We're going to talk about Netflix. Did you know that there is a Netflix original production that is nominated for an Oscar this year?
No.
Yes. They did a documentary called The Square, which they conveniently released, I think, on Netflix right after the nominations came out. But I guess they did some theatrical stuff with it. That's how you get into the Oscars.
Right.
So yeah, it's a documentary on the square and the revolts in the square of Tehran, Iran.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be interested to watch that. So if you are one of those people who always wants to watch some of the Oscar-nominated films before the before the big night, here's your opportunity, and all you have to do is click play if you have Netflix. It's already there for you. So that's kind of cool.
Well, that is really cool. I'll have to check that out, because I know last year you were really good about, trying to hit up all the documentaries and stuff like that, and I didn't do a single thing.
I only hit the doc shorts. I didn't see all the feature-length documentaries, which there were a couple really good ones, I guess, last year. But yeah, the shorts are pretty good.
Okay.
So bridging that into Netflix, what are you watching?
So my movie to stream, and this was just like a feel good, and this is just it's a popcorn movie, but the Hansel and Gretel.
Oh, you saw that in the
remake
theaters,
thing. I saw that in the theaters with like a couple of cousins or something like that.
Did you see it in 3D when you went to the movie theater?
Yes,
okay.
I did, and it was just ridiculous. We didn't need to smash that guy's head. The giant didn't need to step on him to smash him, but they did, and there had to be, and there was it was overly done blood, like you could tell.
Yeah, Tarantino stuff. In
yeah,
there.
a little Tarantino. But Jeremy Renner, he's like kind of just like skates under the radar all the time, but I love him in just about everything he does. And he's just got this great little comedy action thing going on in there, and just a little bit on the cocky side, and he's a diabetic in the thing, because, Hansel and Gretel when they were kids, and, they kept getting fed sugar all the time as kids by the witch, and he became a diabetic. So
oh my gosh.
It's like it's just funny how they twisted it around and did stuff. So it's on Netflix right now, and it's worth a watch. It just don't go into it expecting much, and it's entertaining. So
I might. I'm not really attracted to that film, but it's hard to turn down a Jeremy Renner movie just because he's such a good character. He was fantastic in American Hustle. Like, everybody's talking about everybody else, but he was great in that.
Yeah.
Now, did you watch this on your TV or your tablet or your phone?
My tablet.
Okay, so how was your experience watching it in a big screen, 3D, whatever, and then watching it alone on your tablet?
I paid more attention to the characters on the tablet.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't think that there's things like with Jeremy Renner's character specifically that I caught on the tablet, because, the big whatever going on or explosion thing or the giant walking around wasn't paying as much attention, because it's not like flying at my face or, 30 feet tall or anything. It's just on a small screen. So there, I was probably paying a little bit more attention to the dialogue. So I'm sure I missed out. It definitely wasn't as like I laughed in the theater a little bit more at some of the action sequences, because they seemed fake. Like like they wanted you to laugh when this was happening to this guy type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but no, I think it was probably just as good.
Yeah.
Probably felt better on the tablet because I didn't pay full price and 3D price for it.
Right.
So.
True. Great. Is that it, or is there any?
I also have a TV series to binge on.
Okay.
Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23.
Oh, you told me you were watching it. That's good.
Man, you know who does it for me is James Vanderbeek plays himself in it, and he rips. I mean, you have to just watch the first episode. That's all you have to watch, and you'll get what the rest of the series is going to be like. And he's the one that is great in it because he makes like fun of his Dawson's Creek, and he's still living off of when he was in Dawson's Creek, and so like girls come over and want him to quote Dawson's Creek stuff to him or wear the hoodie like he wore in Dawson's Creek, and that's how he gets his dates. So it was entertaining, and I caught myself. I watched like 4 or 5 episodes in a row, before I realized, it's like 1 a.m. I should probably get to bed. So,
oh wow,
yeah. So that would be the one. Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And that was one of those one-offs, right? It had one season and it was done.
And it was done with. They did a second. No, yeah, they had 2 seasons, but the second one, I guess, was pretty bad from what reviews I did read. Yeah, people didn't really like in the second one. So I'll see if I ever finish it up and let you know. But yeah, that's it.
Are both seasons on Netflix?
Netflix, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay,
no,
cool.
I was trying to keep my list short, so
yeah. No, I might look into that season because I need to find another like just feel good show to like come home and like eat dinner to or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to throw in one thing, yeah.
Right.
And the girl who plays the bee in Apartment 23 is pretty funny too, and she's just mean and just New York and witty and yeah.
Cool. So my 2, the movie I watched, Sam and I were just discussing before you came in, was Johnny Carson, King of Late Nights, a documentary on Johnny Carson. Mm-hmm. Really great. We were just talking about, like Justin Timberlake, like who would be
the Johnny Carson today.
Well, yeah, but not just that, but like who is the greatest entertainer of all time, and to have all those qualities is, that we were talking about. And, I think Johnny Carson and Michael Jackson are, you can debate the 1 and 2 spot of those.
Right.
But, gosh, Johnny Carson makes a really good case for number 1. Just the all-time...
just all around, everything he can do.
Yeah, we were just talking about his ability to do a monologue, to interview the celebrities and have that dialogue, and to be able to do the sketches and sing and all these different things. And one of the things I really thought about during this documentary is something interesting that I read when we read Jerry Lewis wrote this book called Dean and Me, a Love Story about him and Dean Martin that Steve and I both read. And one of the interesting comments that he made is he said, I couldn't have done this on my own, but Dean Martin could have, because he was really funny, but he was also really good at being a straight man. And I'm starting to realize that some of the best comedians not only are the best comedians, but they're also the best straight men. They know when they just have that good of an understanding that they know when to be straight and when to be funny and when this ping pong works and how to make these things work, especially in Carson's scenario where he's improvising these celebrities. So I think that's really a big thing. So because Dean Martin was, the straight man for Jerry Lewis all this time, but he was hysterical. If you would watch any of the stuff when he was actually pulling the gags, he was hysterical, and he could do both really good. So, Sam, I wanted to ask your opinion on this. So, you're a big Johnny Carson fan, and you saw the documentary as well.
I did.
And what do you love about Carson?
Well, everything that you mentioned. I mean, for me, it was like every night before I went to bed, if my parents would let me stay up late, I got to watch Johnny.
And would they watch it with you?
Yeah, they would watch it with me. And his ability to, first off, that he had a lot of pride in what he did, but he wasn't prideful in the sense that he would lower himself to whatever he needed to do to pull off a gag, to make it funny.
Right.
So he would dress up in any crazy thing. He would dress up like a grandmother. He would do all these crazy sketches where he was funny, but he also was kind of a little goofy at the same time, and he wasn't too proud to do stuff like that. And it's kind of like you said, he could be the most suave interviewer, you know,
Right.
on TV, and you know, women would just like come on and be interviewed, and she's like, you know, I want to be with you and all this kind of stuff. And so he had that draw, that kind of sexy guy or whatever. And then like the next bit, he's dressing up in some goofy outfit and pretending to be a salesman or something like that. And you're going, man, how can he do that? You know, he's got this killer suit on in 1 minute, and then the next minute he's wearing some stupid grandma outfit and he's pretending to be grandma whatever.
Right.
And he pulled it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And he wasn't pretentious about it. And yeah, I mean, sure, he had his problems, you know, outside of the screen or whatever, but it's like, it's just hard to find people with that kind of range nowadays.
Right.
I think that that can pull that kind of stuff off.
Right.
Because he could sing, he could play the drums, he was a musician.
Right.
He could interview. And, you know, you and I talked beforehand, but he really was a pioneer in a lot of ways.
Right.
Because, you know, nobody's been on TV longer than him at this point.
Right.
And all the stuff that he did, people are just building off of, like, the foundation. So not only was he doing great stuff, but he was also laying foundations for people.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, and he just pulled it off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know.
Well, and the cool thing is, in the whole time that he was doing all that too, you know, he was just having fun. I doubt he wasn't thinking of any of those other implications and stuff. He had no idea just how groundbreaking he was for everybody else to follow, type of thing. You know,
I remember too when it was announced that he was going to stop doing the Tonight Show.
Right.
And I think there was a several-month period where guests would come on just to say goodbye to him because they'd been on for so long, and I just remember it was like heart-wrenching for me to watch this, because it's like you really realize what a person means to somebody when they come on, and you know, they're just like, these are like actors and actresses and singers, and they're really well known, and they're like sobbing because Johnny's going off the air. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's like, you know, you think of people today who would do that. You know, maybe Letterman because he's been on for a long time, but it's like, who has that kind of impact anymore?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Leno's about to go off. I don't see a lot of people crying about that.
Yeah, exactly. People are cheering, probably.
Back on,
So, I don't know. To me, he just had it all. I mean, he certainly wasn't perfect. He had his flaws, but just his comedic genius and the way he was able to bounce between different things, it's like, man, he was one of a kind, really.
Yeah, he was. Mm-hmm. Well, anyways, if you get a chance to watch that documentary, Johnny Carson, King of Late Night, I recommend that. My series to watch, I know a lot of people are into Sherlock. Mm-hmm. If you need some more Sherlock and you're not getting your fix, check out a show called Endeavor. It's
Endeavor?
Endeavor, yeah.
Okay.
It's based on, I forget the guy's name, but I guess it's some classic detective. And it's very similar to Sherlock, and it's sort of like his younger years.
Okay.
And so there's like a TV movie, and then there's like a TV series that's a prequel to the movie, but they're all hour-and-a-half episodes, which is kind of interesting.
Okay.
But it's very similar to Sherlock. It's witty, but it's the tough thing is it's hard to follow. There's so many characters and stuff going on all the time, so you really kind of got to be thinking about it. It's not a background show.
Okay. All right, Endeavor, and then Johnny Carson, King of Late Night.
Okay. Yeah, documentary. Really good.
Cool. Nicely done.
Yes, you too. All right. Do we have a second base for $1?
Yes, we do.
Ooh, let's see what this is.
This is a little segment we like to call How to Get to Second Base for $1. Oh, yeah.
So, I watched this movie by myself.
Okay, I'm not going to ask if you got to second base then.
I get to second base. Let me tell you how this ends.
Oh, man.
No, it was a busy weekend. My wife had the P.F. Chang's mini marathon.
Oh, I see where this is going.
We had family in town, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, I knew I really wanted to see this. And honestly, Tiffany doesn't know that I watched this because I just, rented it on Google Play, even though it's available through Redbox,
Oh, this is
so I
getting
can
worse and
sneak
worse.
it in.
Is this porn-related, Steve? I just want to know.
Wait for it.
Okay, sorry.
Wait for it.
Okay.
So I can sneak it in on my tablet, and yes, the movie is all about sex addiction.
And what's it called?
It's called Thanks for Sharing.
Okay.
And it actually is a romantic comedy that Mark Ruffalo and Gwyneth Paltrow are in. And
is it recent?
Yeah, it came out this past year. Tim Robbins, Josh Gad, Alicia Moore, which is actually the real name of the pop artist Pink.
Oh, really?
Is in this, and she actually does really well. But so it's all these different characters that are facing these their challenges, and they go to the same class for their sex addiction thing. And actually, Mark Ruffalo's character is my favorite because he's been celibate now for like 6 years or something like that, and then he meets Gwyneth Paltrow, and like he falls in love, but she doesn't realize that he's a sex addict, and so she's trying to figure out what's wrong with her, and like literally is throwing herself at him, and he is no, type of thing.
Wow.
And so it's a great romance that goes on there, and then Tim Robbins, I can't remember the name of the actress that he falls for. But anyways, this is what it's about, and it's about how they all deal with, Josh Gad, he's, been celibate for 2 days. It's that kind of a thing. Like you have all these different characters that make it, and it's a typical love story just put in this quirky space of sex addiction is what it is.
Okay.
But it is really funny, and probably Mark Ruffalo is my favorite just because of what happens between him. And
I love Mark Ruffalo. He's such a good actor.
Yeah, it's just something with like just his face and just like the way he pulls it off. Yeah, it's really good. But yeah, no, it's in Redbox right now. For $1, it's called Thanks for Sharing. I think it was great. I definitely would have gotten to second base if my wife had been sitting next to me.
So you think she would have liked it?
Oh, I think she would have loved it. Yeah,
Oh,
I really do think she would have liked it. So it's
why
rated,
is that?
Because she would have. She's a big fan of Pink. First off,
Okay.
So, but she would have really gotten into the comedy that was in it. So she would have been laughing along with the stuff. I mean, because it wasn't like they're extremely crude jokes or anything like this. It's not like they're naked all the time or anything like that. It's just the situation becomes funnier because this guy is a sex addict, and so nobody else maybe like Gwyneth Paltrow has no idea, so she doesn't know what she's doing is so wrong to him, type of thing, and but he is in love with her, and so that it's just those awkward situations that the chemistry of it works. So no, she would have loved it for sure. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And what's that called again?
Thanks for Sharing.
Thanks for sharing.
Yes, yeah, and it did came out September last year. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep, it did. So it is a more recent one.
All right. Sounds good. All right. You want to do a little bit of film history?
Yeah. Teach me.
It's time for This Week in Film History.
I feel like you have more of like the popular guy music, and I have more of the nerdy shut-in guy,
history teacher or something.
Yeah, right. Guy who lives
Steve
in,
is getting to second base.
right.
Jeff.
Yeah, Steve's all getting to second base, and Jeff's like in the corner of the library trying to read up about a film and somewhere. Yeah,
That's funny. We can try and fix that.
Yeah.
We'll do some new music.
Which I guess just explains why Steve and I are such good friends.
There you go.
And to make my segment seem even nerdier, I am continuing to talk about the 2013 National Film Registry movies, and about movies that none of you have ever seen. Gosh, it's gonna be hard for me to get through now.
You know what? We should change this game a little bit, and it should be, can Jeff get to second base through film history?
Oh, wow!
All right.
Never.
Okay.
I got my money on no. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I know. I could.
You might find the right.
No. If my wife, I could get to second base with my wife with a historical film.
Okay.
You think so?
I think so.
You know what? This is the challenge.
That's
for
a good
the
challenge.
next film history.
Yeah.
Find the movie that would get to second base.
Okay.
Yeah. Find the romantic comedy,
There you
whatever
go.
it might be.
Right.
I mean, I could think of a few that would get you to second base. Like I could probably pick out a couple, but yeah, what would get a girl?
I got one. Okay.
And you got to think kind of generalized to make it work. So not just your wife knowing what she likes, but for other guys to be able to use.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So it's other guys got to be able to use it too. Okay.
Yeah. It's got to be it's got to be a tool for us, all mankind, to
and
use.
No W does Dallas or anything like that. It has to be something.
I mean, while historically accurate, I don't think that's.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for the encouragement. That gives me the strength I need to get through. Daughter of Dawn, which is one of the movies that was nominated, elected this year that nobody really has ever seen. And I'm not really exaggerating. It really hardly anybody has actually seen this movie, even though it was elected to the National Film Registry. So the movie was screened once in 1920 at like a college and then disappeared forever, and people thought it was just gone. And then in 2005, this guy who's a private investigator in North Carolina gets this box of film nitrates as a payment for a job. And so he calls up the Oklahoma film history whatever and says, hey, I know this film has something to do with Oklahoma. Do you guys want to buy this from me? So they bought it in 2005 and spent the next between then and then it finally released in 2012.
Wow, so 7 years.
Yeah, getting the funds together and doing the update, the restoration, and then they brought in a guy to score it. So the unique thing about this film is that it was filmed in Oklahoma in the mountains there, and it's a story about Native Americans.
Okay,
but it's told by Native Americans. It wasn't a writer-director that were Native Americans, but the producer had spent I forget how many years with the Native American tribe. So he put together this love story that's kind of a triangle, a love triangle, and there's hunting and fighting and wars and stuff that are breaking out. And so what they did is they actually found a group of Native Americans that were on a reservation and were fairly new to the reservation. So a lot of the Native Americans there were actually pre-res Indians. So they actually roamed around and were somewhat nomadic like they would have been, in this film. And so they used them, and then the two stars are actually son and daughter of some famous Indian chief.
Okay.
And so they have this really extraordinary piece because, so much stuff that was done back then was like just white people playing dress up.
Right.
Right. And so this is a great document of a Native American story that was told through, with Native Americans and all of they use their own teepees and their own tools and axes and stuff like that. So it really has a lot of historical value to it, which is really exciting. And then for the restoration, they actually brought in a guy who had never done film score before, but he was really a talented musician, Native American musician. So they brought him to do the film score and stuff like that. So really pretty cool and exciting. So, like I said, for some reason, it just played at, I think, a college in Los Angeles once, and then disappeared, and then, ta-da, all of a sudden, here it is in 2012, and here we are in 2014, and it gets
almost
put in right away.
100 years later.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said that was from the 20s, right?
Yeah, it was, I guess they started filming in 19, and then it got shut down for some reason for a little bit, and they finished it in 20, and
wow.
And yeah,
that's pretty cool.
So
yeah.
it just came back out, and
wow.
What was cool I was reading one guy talking about the film, and he saw his mother in the film. And what was really cool, I mean, if your mother, was, younger in the 20s, what was cool for him is here is this document, he found out a little bit about his mother being in the film, and most of him hearing about his mother being in the film was after she passed away. And there was no sense in finding this film to see his mom in because it, didn't exist. But what was really cool for him is here he sees this restored film, and here he sees his mom, young, beautiful, in her prime, and acting. And she wasn't an actress,
Right.
Really, she was just, and I think it would just be really cool to see this old document, this piece of history, and see your mom in this moving picture. And I'm sure, he would have never seen any moving pictures of his mom that young.
Right.
And just, he talked about seeing how clear the picture was and how amazing it was to see his mom moving back then. Yeah, so there's a lot of really cool things I think about this story. It's called Daughter of the Dawn, and it's not even out on DVD or Blu-ray yet. So, I mean, I guess all this stuff is still coming out because it's still so recent. But in terms of film history and just history and in terms of documentation and stuff with Native Americans, this is really cool. This is really exciting stuff. So,
well, it's always exciting when it's something like that could have potentially been lost forever.
Yeah.
You know, it was just this one random PI that got payment, and that's what it was, you know?
Yeah.
So what would be cool is the, like, historical documentary of, like, where did that come from before he had his hands on it? And, you know, if that person that was paying him was related somehow to the people that made the movie or whatever. But it's just so neat that something, you just never know what you're going to find in somebody's closet. You know, like
yeah, something like that.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, well, I mean, along those lines, there was an old film that was just recently discovered, and it was one of the major stars.
But it was lost, just the same type of thing.
Yeah, it was the same type of thing. It
was
lost forever, and so what happened was this guy was tearing down an old like barn, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think it was Lillian Gish. It was the other. I forget. Sorry. So anyway, so they found this short film, and it was there. Apparently, it used to be a boys' like camp.
Okay.
And so there was like an old barn that was a part of it, and the owner said, "We want you to tear this barn down, and just you can keep whatever you find in it, whatever you want to keep, some material for building stuff, whatever." So he's like, "All right, cool." So he finds this like old box, and it's got these old nitrate films in it. So he knew someone at a university, and he sent it away to him. And come to find out, it's the silent film that they thought was lost forever that had a star in it. Not only was it have this famous star in it, but she had just gotten married the day before, and this film was with her and her husband.
Wow.
And then like they made this film the next day. And so they thought this film was lost forever, and here it is, and there's no good reason why a piece of film just sitting in a box in the corner of some room should have survived, other than it was so cold in that area and it was like in the earth. Mm-hmm. That's what preserved it well enough for it to still be around. It's amazing. It's really incredible, because there's no reason these nitrate films, they burn up so easily. They don't.
Yeah, they're so sensitive to the heat, temperature.
So elements. Yeah.
Those are such cool stories. I totally would be enthralled with watching this Daughter of the Dawn if and when it ever gets released onto something that I can, easily consume it on. Because I would just be fascinated to see such an authentic 1920s Indians. Well, I mean, because you're right. It's not some actors playing it. It's them really, there in that backdrop in Oklahoma back then. And 100 years.
Yeah. By the way, this film I was just talking about, I just found it. Mary Pickford. Mary Pickford, who is like the first lady of silent films, right? Mm-hmm. She was big. She was not only the first big screen actress. She broke down barriers in terms of working her way from just being an actress who was like really looked down upon, especially film actresses. Yeah. When films first started, it was like. It was like back in the 80s when movie stars would do TV. It'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
It was like trash. And so she worked her way from that to the area when films were respected, and to being a producer, and to, holding a sense of power. And actually her with Douglas Fairbanks and Charlie Chaplin and D.W. Griffith started United Artists. So she did a lot. So anyway, yeah, this film, Mary Pickford, it was a 1911 film. Wow. And the film, ironically, is called The First Misunderstanding, and it was about marital problems, which those two did eventually get a divorce. So 1911 film, a film that was made in 1911 that was just recently
unearthed, pretty much.
Wow. And one of the reasons I want to talk about one of the silent films, I thought this was interesting too, is that when the National Film Registry released this list of films that they are for preserves, in this document, they mentioned that they just finished a study where they said, we know a lot of silent films have not survived. And so through this research that they did, they said that the Library of Congress recently released a report that conclusively determined that 70% of the nation's silent feature films have been lost forever, and only 19% exist in their original 35mm format.
Wow.
When you think about how much has been lost, how much of our history and just how much of that culture and so that's pretty substantial.
That is just an amazing number of films, because that, I mean, it's not like there was only 10 films ever made or anything like that. There were hundreds and hundreds of films just completely lost that we'll never know that.
Yeah, and that's not including short films, which there was much more of abundance of short films.
Yeah.
So that's just features. So, and that's just here. I think that's just domestically. So if you think about shorts and you think about worldwide, it's a lot of loss.
Yeah. That's just amazing.
I don't know. If they told me the 90s, maybe 70% of the 90s didn't survive, sometimes I'd be like, did we really?
We don't really need that much of that, right? Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, leave me the Turtles movies and Home Alone, and
that'll be okay. But we don't need all those other sequels. Yeah.
If you lost the English Patient, I think I'd be okay with that.
Speaking of something on the film history side, though, Monuments Men.
Yes.
Movie, yes, George Clooney and
George
stuff.
Clooney,
That looks like an interesting, but that's all about the same type of thing. Keeping art and keeping it alive and out of harm's way and stuff. So
and I will say, Shireen and I did go and see Saving Mr. Banks the other day.
Oh, okay.
Talking about film history in a film. Really cool.
Yeah,
it's really fun just to kind of be transported back to that era, if nothing else, and just to sort of experience sort of Disney while Disney was Disney
and it was Walt the whole time.
Yeah, and just the culture that he was creating there, and so that was really fun. That was pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I have a good 10 for speed round for you, but I do want to say that it's up on our website. But, you obsess over something for so long, you finally find out what's wrong with it. And Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah.
Oh?
Yeah.
Is this something we need to talk about now, or is this something that happens
Breaking
after
news.
speed round?
Well, I wanted to bring it up now because I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk about it anymore.
Okay.
It does bother me, but I think that in 10 years' time, she's going to be an annoying twit.
Yeah.
For sure. But what's bothering me all of a sudden, and it hit me when I was reading up about this, Serena, I think, is the new movie that she's coming out with, that she's in, and she's starring in it with Bradley Cooper. So this will be the third time she's been in a movie with Bradley Cooper.
Okay.
So pretty much her only movies now have been the X-Men series, the Hunger Games series, and 3 movies with Bradley Cooper. So she doesn't branch out very much. And I can guarantee you that in this Serena, that her character is going to be a girlfriend or wife that is emotionally psychotic or drunk and has the guy somehow wrapped around her finger, because that's the same character she played in all 3 of the other ones. Yeah. So while it is different and entertaining right now, I'm going to be really tired of it here. So
I will agree with that, because I saw American Hustle. Mm-hmm. Which she was fantastic in.
I loved it. And I laughed out loud at the very end when she's wearing the neck brace and stuff. It
was great. But what I was thinking of when I left that theater is Rosie Perez. I don't even remember her. But she, when she came out, they were like, oh, she's incredible. Mm-hmm. But then 5 films later, they're like, that's all she does.
Yeah.
Like, she does that one character really well. Owen Wilson, he does one character really well.
Yep.
It's sort of that's what I started thinking. I was like, she's got to play, the stable, likable, person in order for us to really,
the girl next door type of, And so, because I fought myself over this before I posted it. I posted it just before I walked over here. So, because I was like, no, she's got to do something different. And I'm looking, and no, I mean, her next films coming out are the next Hunger Games one, the next X-Men one, and the Serena one, which I read the synopsis for it. And it's exactly, it's set in a different era, but it's going to be, I know it's going to be the same character. And so you're right. 2 or 3 more films, and we're going to be bored of her. I hope she doesn't win an Oscar for American Hustle. I'm sure she won't, but I hope she doesn't because she doesn't need any more support. She needs to try and branch out and do something different or something if she wants to survive. Otherwise, you're right. I mean, because Owen Wilson, oh man, I remember loving him in the heyday. And nothing's wrong with him. I'll still go back and watch some of those movies with him and stuff. But it's just the same kind of goof character. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, let's move on to speed round so we can put this behind us.
Yeah, let's put this behind us.
All right.
Speed round.
All right.
I got 10 for you, Jeff.
I didn't count mine,
Okay.
but I got a handful of them.
All right, good. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones or in Star Wars?
Star Wars.
This year at the Oscars, does the fat lady sing and Leonardo DiCaprio finally get his Oscar?
No.
Best action figure scenes include guns, fists, or cars.
I have to pick one.
Pick one.
Guns.
Best childhood show, Alf or Fraggle Rock?
Alf.
Best time of day, morning sunrise or the nighttime full moon?
Nighttime full moon.
Mighty Ducks, maybe want to play hockey, or are we really lassoing people on ice?
It actually did make me play hockey.
All right. Movie actors moving to TV series. I love it, or stick to your original gimmick?
You can do it. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Would you rather do an SNL sketch with Justin Timberlake or Bill Murray?
Bill Murray.
Would you rather have the perfect kiss with the love of your life or your screenplay made into an award-winning movie?
Well, I already have the kiss with my love of my life. Does that mean you have to take that kiss away?
Yes.
Okay, the kiss with the love of my life.
Okay, all right. And finally, 12 Years a Slave or Gravity?
Gravity.
Okay, that's what I'm going to choose then.
Okay.
Tricked you.
All right. I haven't seen 12 Years a Slave yet, but
Okay.
That's fine. Okay. All right, you ready?
I'm in the zone.
All right. Are you and Tiffany Valentine's Day people?
No.
You recommend a sci-fi movie for Valentine's Day. Do you get slapped or applauded?
Slapped.
Okay. Is your Christmas tree and or decoration still up?
No, as of literally 45 minutes ago. I literally dumped the tree before I got.
Oh
yes.
my gosh! It's
I
like
just
you
dumped the
knew
tree.
I was gonna
Yes.
ask.
Oh
my gosh! Okay, all right. Are you okay? So you are stuck as a character in one of our two audio dramas. Which one do you choose? Little Old Lady about the two girls stuck in the haunted house, or Back for Christmas about the guy who wants to kill his wife?
Little Old Lady.
Okay, good. And those are on our website if you guys want to check those out, or our network. Anyway, let me see. Okay, so what are you most likely to watch for a romantic night? A romantic comedy or a romantic drama?
Romantic comedy.
Okay. You have to make a biopic movie of your own life. But to make it more exciting than it really is, your producer asks you to turn it into either a Western, an action movie, or an NC-17 movie. Which one do you choose?
Action.
Okay. You have to watch a foreign film. Do you pick one from Mexico, France, Italy, Nigeria, or India?
Nigeria.
Okay. Would you rather live in a world without coffee or a world without liquor?
Oh.
Quickly, Steve, quickly.
Speed round!
World without liquor.
Oh my gosh. Woo. That's killing him right there. Holy cow.
take any more questions.
Would you rather give up hamburgers and French fries or Mexican food?
Hamburgers and French fries.
Okay, that was easier. Okay, Tiffany wants to go out for Valentine's Day. Do you take her out for coffee, liquor, burgers and fries, or Mexican food?
Mexican food.
Okay. Did being homeschool foster your imagination?
Yes.
Okay. You are tasked with making a movie about homeschooling. But to make it appear more interesting than it really is, your producers have asked you to turn it into either a Western, an action movie, or an NC-17 movie. Which one do you choose?
We're going NC-17
okay,
on that
all
one.
right. Congratulations. Good job. Good round. Good round.
Oh my gosh! Oh,
All right,
I
that
think
was
I.
fun.
Oh, that
No
was a
coffee or
breakdown.
no liquor. That was the one that got him.
That,
Yeah.
Wow.
That was
wow,
a- that was
you
a
got
hard
me on
one.
that one. Jeez. Oh, okay. I'm good now. Boy, that was tough. But I still don't know if I made the right call on that one yet.
Yeah, I know. I felt that way with some of your. So, as a bonus question, since that one was so tough for you,
Okay.
let me ask Sam.
Uh-oh.
If you lived in a world where you could only drink water and coffee or liquor, which one would you choose?
Water and coffee or liquor?
Yeah, you can either. So you can have water no matter what.
Okay.
Just put that in there. But then your only other choice would be liquor or coffee.
So I get liquor or coffee?
Yeah.
Coffee.
Coffee?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know you're not a big drinker.
I'm not a big drinker.
Of either one, right?
No, I don't drink either of those, actually.
Like, if you had to choose, it's like,
Well, I could change my mind. I could take liquor because then I wouldn't have to remember a world that didn't have stuff that I didn't like about it.
yeah. You could forget about the world without Kool-Aid.
Exactly.
There you go.
That's true.
Oh, very, very well done, though. And I literally did. I had the tree down and on my truck, so when Tiffany got home, I drove it over to dump it down the street here.
That's pretty funny.
At
that is
the
hilarious.
Christmas tree graveyard?
Yeah, the Christmas tree graveyard.
You know, and I must say, for those of you listening, when we did improv, and Jeff, we had this game called Director's Styles, where Jeff would be the director, and the audience would give us a suggestion, and then Jeff had to be the director of the scene that we had to build.
That nobody wanted to be in.
What you just heard and the questions that you just heard were kind of like Director's Styles, because Jeff would start this thing off that sounded simple in the beginning, and then morphed into this really complicated thing that did not have a good answer, but you had to act it out.
Yeah.
And it was such a great challenge. So I'm glad you still have that, Jeff.
It was like that quote from Anchorman, like, boy, that escalated quickly.
Yes, yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My world's full of coffee and NC-17.
Yes.
Right. Oh my gosh. Well, that was so. This was a fun episode. You guys have a good one?
That was good. It felt good to get back into it. So,
yeah, I didn't drink before this episode, so I was really interested in how this was going to turn out. I didn't have any coffee, and I didn't have any liquor, and I didn't have my coffee with my liquor. So, hopefully.
I thought you guys did fine.
Okay.
I think you're saving up the liquor for later.
Yeah.
When you have the Oscars.
Yeah. We get. Well, honestly, I should start building my tolerance as well. Probably.
Yeah. Tolerance, or but eat lots that day. Drink plenty of water. I don't know. I'm gonna have to find some episodes of MythBusters or something to find out how to prep and then how to deal with the hangover the next day or something.
So,
I don't know.
all right. Well, we'll be talking more about Oscars, whether it's,
Yes.
I'm sure, through our blogs or through our podcasts as that comes up closer and closer. And I've very much enjoyed it. Please check out my blog, though, on why, in more detail, Jennifer Lawrence is both the love and the hate of my life right now.
Yes, and be tuned. We have a lot of cool projects that we're working on this year for 12A. We have some more audio drama and some short film stuff, and some a short film that we partnered on that's going to come out. So we have a lot of really cool stuff on that front to talk about. We're going to continue the Oscar conversations, and I have some Valentine's Day stuff we're going to talk about next time for movies and stuff like that. That's going to go on our blog, too.
That's coming up.
So,
it's a good thing I don't celebrate that.
Yeah, coming up. So, anyways, very excited. As always, keep an eye on our website and our Facebook, Twitter, and
Google
all that stuff.
Plus,
We're gonna have
all
some
that.
cool stuff
So,
we're gonna release.
yes.
So, anyways, thank you all. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us on another exciting episode on 12A Productions, and we look forward to hanging out with you guys some more film history.
Yeah, NC-17.
The 12A podcast is produced by 12A Productions and distributed by the 4-Eyed Radio Network. To learn more about the podcast or to see what other projects the 12A team is working on, check out 12aproductions.com.
This was not recorded before a live studio audience.
This has been another great presentation of the 4-Eyed Radio Network. You can catch more shows at 4eyedradio.com.